We're not available now. Please leave your name and phone number after the beep. We will return your call.
Welcome to class. I am your professor, Miss Simran. I'd be such a weird tweety professor. I wonder what my right professor would be. Either be really good or really bad. Like there's no in between. Either people would love me or they'd be like, F her. Like, sorry. Today I'm coming at you with a how I take my notes video. This video makes me feel so cringy because it's like, I take aesthetic notes, like all about the aesthetic. Things like notes are for you. Like whatever works for you is what matters the most. I took a quiz online and I found out that I am both a visual and audio learner. So obviously it does make sense that for me, taking notes, drawing it out, adding color and making it as like readable with least amount of words and most pictures possible is the best learning style for me. Also, excuse the beanie. I'm not sure if I quite like it. I'm still deciding. I was obsessed with this beanie literally since September, probably earlier. Every time I walk past this one store in Santa Cruz, I would look at it and I'd be like, I want it, but I wouldn't go and buy it. And then it just took over me and I was like, I have to buy it. And now that I bought it, I would be a clown if I didn't wear it. So I've been like non-stop wearing it. Plus, since I'm wearing it, my hair's gotten really weird on the top. So it's just like, I've committed to the life. There's no going back. Going for the supplies I like to use. I'm a little bit of a stationery fanatic. I love me some good stationery. So obviously you don't need the same stationery as me. This is just what I love. What tickles my pickles. I hated that. Never saying that again. First off, for pens, my favorite pen of all time, I think. I go back and forth between the Pilot G5 and the Pilot G7. I feel like the Pilot G7 is so smooth. Like I feel like you're not even writing anything. It's just such a smooth pen, but it smears and it can get a little too inky and jelly for me. But the Pilot G7 is a little more of like a structured lifestyle, but like it looks so nice when you're reading your notes because they're not too thick, like the perfect thickness of like legibility. So I go back and forth between both. Currently I have one of each. Love these pens, love them so much. Then I have my 3 brush midliners. I got these at the art store as well. Most of my stationery I get from the art store. I just go there way too much. It's out of control. One side's an ultra fine one, which I don't use that often, and then the other side is a brush pen, and I just use these for the headers of my notes. And I have it in 3 colors, one for lecture notes, one for reading notes, and one for highlighting within. I like to use Grade Highlight Within because it just keeps it from being too colorful, because I have a pack of G7 pens in every color of the rainbow. I think I'm lying. Here they are, literally every color of the rainbow, and I just learned that I'm not gonna be able to use these. It's really sad because I love them and I will use them sometimes for like bullet journaling, but like in my notes that's just way too much color. There is a thing that's too much color. I learned it the hard way, and so keeping the notes, like what I want to highlight as important concepts, just being colored in silver just makes it easier to read overall. This pen's so nice. It's too pretty for me to always use it, but I like want to always use it because it's so nice and so easy to write with. It's a Uni Emot. It's fine 0.5. It just writes, it writes like the G7 but better, and it's as thinner than the G5. Like it's just a pure pen. It's so beautiful. But then I have my tumblr brush pen. I love this for making my headers. It doesn't bleed. It's perfect. And then the other side, it's dual-sided again. This is the side I use for subheadings within. Lastly, I have a bunch of midliners. I used to use my Curl markers, but then my sister got a giant pack of midliners and gave me some, so shout out to her. I use 5 midliners within my notes. And I know I just mentioned how I don't like too much color in my notes. So you might be like, you're a hypocrite. I am. What about it? Just kidding. I like to use these 5 because I like to draw a lot of diagrams in my notes and then color them in because I'm a baby and I like coloring, but also because seeing color as a visual learner does help me, but not an overwhelming amount of color. And when I keep the color scheme in my notes to these colors and the gray, like that's basically it besides the header, it just is so simple for me to understand and look at. And then I can like color, and like for example, I drew a picture of the cell. I was able to color it in with these colors, and it didn't distract me from the overall notes, but at the same time like made it easier for me to understand because I was able to color it in. I don't really know. It helps me with my things, but I have this tealy color. I have a teal color, a purple color, pink, orange, brown. Yeah, those are what I like to use as like supplementary for like diagrams or something. Up until this quarter, I would only have one notebook for all my classes, and it wouldn't be like a separate section notebook. It's this basic, it's called Mint Green, Be Fresh, Be Fun, Be Green, 60% recycled, soy-based and composition dot ruled notebook with 100 sheets in here, 8 by 10, made in Taiwan. I love these notebooks. I'm gonna go and buy more for next quarter, literally this week, to prepare, but I love them. Up until this quarter, I honestly just used one notebook, and I would just do the back one class and the front one class. And then like my third class I normally wouldn't take notes for, but this quarter I took a class where I needed a whole notebook for one class. I don't really like big bulky 5-section notebooks, and I've also moved away from lined notebooks. Maybe just in general I prefer dotted because there's so much more you can do with them. You can draw graphs, you can draw like whole pictures, but you can still write like straight, versus when it's just like blank paper I just lose all havoc. It's a little too much freedom for me and things go crazy. I have like a little system based on these 3 midliner brush pens I have. So the light blue one is for lecture like notes, like reading supplements that the professor tells you to do ahead of class. So the light blue is for those. And then the purple is for notes in class. And then gray is for highlighting within those notes. So basically what I do is I'll take notes on chapter. Let's say the reading for a textbook is chapter 1. I'll write it out and then I'll put the color on each side. So since it's a reading, it would be a light blue color, but if it's a lecture, it would be a purple color. And then in the corner, I would write what unit it is. If it's one of those classes where like everything builds on each other, I'll just write the unit so I can easily refer to it when flipping through the notebook. Then underneath that, I'll write like a subtitle about what the unit's really about, because that's just kind of saying like chapter 1. It won't tell me what chapter 1's about, or like the date of the class. That's what I'll write there. And it won't really tell me much about the chapter. So then I do that. For the main concepts, I like to write them out in all uppercase letters, and so I said main system. Normally I wouldn't have an arrow there. I got nervy because I was feeling myself and put the arrow. And then I write in the little arrow, and I write subtopics related to the main topic underneath. And then it just makes it easier because I'm like, oh, like ganglion cells. I'm not a bio major. Why am I talking about cells so much? But ganglion cells. Here's everything you need about a ganglion cell. Definition of a ganglion cell, I write that underneath in caps so I can see it easily. And then if it's an important definition, I'll highlight it with this gray. And then I'll write like the specific definition there. So I have everything about ganglion cells all in one area. But yeah, that's kind of like how I write that out. Then for like data diagrams, if I have a graph in my textbook that's important, or in the lecture slides, a professor will put a graph up or something like that, I like to try and draw it out. If I don't have the time in the moment to, because it's like in the middle of class, I'll take a picture of it and I'll like leave space for it, or draw the rough idea out and then come back to it. But these help me so much. There was a chapter where I literally wrote barely any words and just through graphs, and it helped me, and I still learned all the material that everyone else learned. It just, I learned through visual things so much better. So yeah, I'll draw it out, and then that's where the colors will come in, and I'll use those to color it in and differentiate the data, and also just like make it all stick in my brain. So I drew a couple examples of how I would do that. And yeah, so why this helps. Basically, having it to be easy to read means that it's easier for me to look over it, making studying easier, extra effort in reviewing later, time efficient. And also, people think that like the dumbest thing about aesthetic notes is that you're wasting all this time thinking about the colors and making it look pretty instead of learning it. But this process honestly takes me as long as the next person to do my notes. I feel like I don't spend extra time on it because I've narrowed it down to what works for me and nothing else. So it kind of just has become simplified. I have in the past spent way too long on my notes, I will admit to it, and I like try to make them perfect, but now I just do what works for me, and this is what works. Sometimes it's pretty, sometimes I mess up. Yeah, and also because I'm like working on making them look good and readable, I spend less time doodling. But especially when I'm like drawing diagrams and stuff, when you're drawing things that are related to the class, you don't want to draw things that aren't related because then your notes get confusing. So now I doodle so much more unfrequently, so much less, very less, I doodle less. That's all I'm trying to say. So yeah, if you guys like this video, comment down below. I don't know if you'd comment, but comment something. Like this video and subscribe. Yeah, Vidmas, Vlogmas, you already know. I'm sorry, this video's been like weird energy. I also have been requested to do a bullet journal video, and I think I've decided I'm gonna do one for the first time in like 2 years. My old ones we don't talk about, I don't like them. But I'm gonna set up my 2020 bullet journal soon. Alright, bye!